She shouted, "You don't own me! Stop treating me like one of your tasks." I smiled and said, "Good thing I just marked this one as completed." That night, I canceled the trip, refunded everything, and turned off my phone. When she landed and saw who was there to pick her up, her next message changed everything. "I'm Connor, 31, and I'd been dating Bianca for 2.5 years. We met through a dating app, bonded over our shared love of travel, and had what I thought was a solid relationship. I'm admittedly someone who likes organization and planning. I keep lists, I schedule things, I like knowing what's coming next. It's how I manage stress and how I've always operated. Bianca knew this about me from day one. The fight that ended everything happened on a Thursday night, 2 days before we were supposed to leave for Lisbon. I'd been planning this trip for 3 months, found a great deal on flights, booked a boutique hotel in Alfama, made reservations at restaurants she'd mentioned wanting to try, even learned some basic Portuguese phrases. I'd created a shared document with our itinerary, flexible but structured, so we'd make the most of our 5 days there. That Thursday evening, I was going over the final details, while Bianca was on her phone on the couch. I asked her about luggage limits for our airline, and she barely looked up. "Bianca, did you check the luggage restrictions? I sent you the link last week." "I'll figure it out at the airport." "That's not a great plan. If your bag's overweight, they charge like €70. Just check it now so we can adjust." She sighed, still scrolling on her phone. "Connor, it's fine." "It's not fine if we get hit with surprise fees. I budgeted everything carefully." "Oh my God." She finally looked up. "Do you hear yourself? You budgeted everything. You planned everything. You decided everything. We talked about all of this. You approved the restaurants, the hotel, No, you presented me with options and I said okay because you get annoyed when I don't have an opinion. But you'd already made all the decisions before asking me." I set down my laptop. "That's not fair. I've been planning this trip for us. I wanted it to be special. For us? Or for you? Because this whole trip feels like another one of your projects. Everything color-coded and scheduled and optimized. What if I just want to wander around? What if I don't want every single hour planned out? The itinerary is flexible. It's suggestions, not rules. It's 17 pages, Connor. 17 pages of suggestions. Because I wanted us to see everything. I spent hours researching. I didn't ask you to do that. I never asked you to turn our vacation into a corporate presentation." I felt my jaw tighten. "So what? You'd rather we fly to Lisbon with no plan? Just wing it and hope we stumble into good experiences? Maybe. Maybe that would be more fun than following your fucking spreadsheet." The venom in her voice caught me off guard. "Why are you attacking me for trying to make sure we have a good time?" "Because you do this with everything. Every date, every weekend, every interaction has to be planned and managed and tracked. You treat our relationship like a project plan. You treat me like one of your tasks." "That's not true." "Yes, it is. You have reminders in your phone for when to text me. I've seen them. Check in with Bianca, like I'm a client that needs managing." My face flushed. The reminders were because I'd gotten busy with work and forgotten to text her for a whole day. She'd been upset, said I was neglecting her. So I'd set reminders to make sure I stayed connected. I'd been trying to be better. Those reminders are because I care about you. Because I don't want to take you for granted. You're not supposed to need an alarm to remember to talk to your girlfriend. That's not caring, Connor. That's treating me like a chore. Something to check off your list. So, you'd prefer I forget about you? Because I can't win here. When I don't text enough, you're mad. When I make sure I text consistently, you're mad. I want you to text me because you're thinking about me, not because your phone told you to. We stared at each other across the living room. Her chest was heaving, eyes bright with anger. I felt cold and distant, like I was watching this from outside myself. "I'm trying my best here," I said quietly. "I'm sorry if my best isn't good enough for you." "That's not what I'm saying." isn't it? You just spent 10 minutes listing everything wrong with how I love you, how I'm too organized, too planning-focused, too systematic. So what do you want from me? To just stop being who I am. I want you to stop treating me like one of your tasks. You don't own me. Stop treating me like one of your tasks. Something in me snapped. Not into anger, into clarity. I smiled. Good thing I just marked this one as completed. She looked confused. What? This, US. Consider it completed and archived. Connor, don't be dramatic. I'm just saying, I know what you're saying. You're saying that the way I show love is wrong, that my effort is actually a burden, that trying to make sure we have good experiences together is somehow controlling. Message received. That's not... You're twisting what I said. Am I? You just told me I treat you like a task. So I'm removing you from my task list. Problem solved. This is ridiculous. We're having a fight, couples fight. It doesn't mean we're breaking up. We're not breaking up. You already made it clear this isn't working for you. I'm just agreeing with you. I closed my laptop, stood up, and walked to the bedroom. She followed me. Connor, come on. Let's talk about this like adults. We are adults. That's why I'm not going to waste more time in a relationship where my partner thinks I'm suffocating her with spreadsheets. I didn't say you were suffocating me. You implied it pretty heavily. Look, Bianca, you want spontaneity and randomness. I provide structure and planning. Those things are fundamentally incompatible. Better we figure that out now than after we waste more time trying to change each other. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed. So that's it? We have one fight, and you're done? This isn't our first fight about this. It's just the first time you've been this honest about it. I appreciate the honesty, really. But I'm not going to apologize for who I am, and you shouldn't have to pretend you're okay with it. What about Lisbon? You should still go. The tickets are transferable. Take a friend. Have your spontaneous adventure without my color-coded spreadsheet ruining it. You're being childish. I'm being practical, which, according to you, is part of the problem. She left the bedroom. I heard her gathering her things, keys, phone, the overnight bag she'd been keeping at my place. The door opened and closed. She didn't slam it. Somehow that made it worse. After she left, I sat on the edge of the bed for a while, just processing. Then I opened my laptop and got to work. I canceled everything. The hotel booking, got a partial refund since it was within the cancellation window. The restaurant reservations, all canceled. The museum tickets I'd pre-bought, requested refunds. The airport shuttle I'd scheduled, canceled. I changed my flight to non-refundable and non-transferable, so she couldn't use it even if she wanted to. Took a financial hit, but it was worth it for the clean break. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. Update 1. Friday morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls and over 100 texts. I didn't read any of them. Just blocked Bianca's number and went to work. My colleague James noticed I was off. You okay, man? Broke up with Bianca last night. Damn, you okay? Yeah, it was time. Wasn't Lisbon this weekend? Was. Not anymore. He didn't push, which I appreciated. I spent Friday buried in work, staying late to avoid going home to an empty apartment that still smelled like her perfume. Saturday morning, the day we were supposed to fly out, I unblocked Bianca's number briefly to send one message. Cancelled everything. Lisbon's off. You were right. I was treating you like a task. Now you're free. Have a good life. Then I blocked her again and went for a long run. What I didn't know, and wouldn't find out until later, was that Bianca had apparently decided Friday night that our fight was fixable, and she was going to surprise me by showing up at the airport Saturday morning anyway. She'd packed, gotten herself to the airport, fully intending to work things out during the trip. I have to piece together what happened next from what friends told me later because I wasn't there. Bianca got to the airport, texted me that she was there. No response. Called me. Straight to voicemail. I'd turned my phone off by then. She apparently started to panic, thinking maybe I was running late or in the security line. She went through security with her ticket, got to the gate. I wasn't there. She waited until boarding started. I still wasn't there. She asked the gate agent if they could check if I'd checked in. They couldn't give her that information due to privacy rules. She boarded the plane alone, apparently convinced I'd show up at the last minute. I didn't. The plane took off. She spent the 5-hour flight to Lisbon alternating between anger and panic, according to her messages, which I didn't see until much later. When she landed in Lisbon, jet-lagged and stressed, she turned on her phone expecting messages from me. Instead, she got a message from her friend Jessica, someone I'd contacted Friday night with a simple message. Bianca's going to need a friend. Could you pick her up at Lisbon Airport tomorrow at 2 p.m.? I'm not going to be there. Jessica had apparently thought I was joking at first. When she realized I wasn't, she'd scrambled to figure out logistics. She'd been at a bachelorette party in Porto, only about 3 hours from Lisbon by train. She'd left early, gotten to Lisbon, and was waiting at arrivals when Bianca came through. According to Jessica, who called me that night after I'd unblocked my phone, Bianca had seen her and just stopped. Stood there in the middle of the airport with her suitcase, staring at Jessica like she was a ghost. "Connor's not coming, is he?" Bianca had asked. "No, sweetie." He's not. That's when Bianca apparently broke down, full meltdown in the middle of Lisbon Airport. Jessica got her to a coffee shop, got the story, and then called me. "Connor, what the hell happened?" Jessica demanded. I explained. The fight, the accusations, the decision to end it cleanly. "So you just abandoned her in a foreign country?" I made sure she had someone to pick her up. That's more than she deserved after telling me I treat her like a task instead of a person. She's devastated. She'll get over it. She wanted spontaneity. Well, surprise. This is spontaneous. That's cold, man. Maybe. But it's honest. She wanted me to stop treating our relationship like something that needs planning and effort, so I stopped putting in planning and effort. This is what that looks like. Jessica was quiet for a moment. "She wants to talk to you." "I don't want to talk to her." "Connor, tell her to enjoy Lisbon. Tell her to wander aimlessly without a schedule. Tell her to have the spontaneous adventure she wanted. Just tell her to have it without me." I hung up. Update 2. Sunday morning, I unblocked Bianca long enough to check if she'd messaged. She had. Dozens of messages, but one in particular stood out. "I'm so sorry. You were right. I was wrong. I see it now. I see what you were doing for me, for us. Please call me, please. I'll come home early. We can fix this. I love you." I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to call her. Part of me wanted to believe it. But the bigger part of me remembered her face when she'd said I treat her like a task. The contempt in her voice. The way she'd mocked my efforts. I typed out a response. "You don't get to realize I was good to you only after you're stuck in another country without my suffocating planning to rely on. I hope you find what you're looking for. It's not me." I blocked her number again. Permanently this time. Monday, I got a call from her mother. Somehow she'd gotten my work number. "Connor, Bianca is heartbroken. She made a mistake. Can't you forgive her?" "With respect, Mrs. Morrison, Bianca didn't make a mistake. She told me exactly how she felt about me and how I show love. I'm just respecting her feelings." She was emotional. She didn't mean those things. She meant them enough to say them. That's enough for me. You're being cruel leaving her stranded like that. I made sure she had someone to pick her up. I made sure she wasn't alone. That's more planning than she wanted from me anyway. This isn't you, Connor. You're a good man. I am a good man. That's why I'm not staying with someone who thinks my efforts are problems. She tried to argue more, but I politely ended the call. Update 3. Bianca came back from Lisbon on Wednesday, 3 days early. Jessica had apparently stayed with her through Monday, then had to get back to Porto. Bianca had spent Tuesday alone in the hotel I'd booked. She'd somehow gotten them to let her check in using my reservation, even though I'd canceled it. She'd paid out of pocket for the nights. She showed up at my apartment Wednesday evening. I only knew because my neighbor texted me that someone was sitting outside my door. I didn't go home that night. Stayed at James's place. Thursday morning, I got an email. Long, rambling, full of apologies and explanations. She admitted she'd taken me for granted. Said she'd been ungrateful for all the effort I put in. Said she'd been in her own head about feeling controlled, but realized the control wasn't coming from me. It was her own insecurities about not being spontaneous enough. She ended it with, "I know you're done. I know I destroyed something good because I couldn't appreciate it while I had it. I just need you to know that you were right. About everything. And I'm sorry." I didn't respond. Friday, I ran into her friend group at a coffee shop. They gave me looks ranging from sympathetic to hostile. One of them, Maya, approached me. "You know she's a mess, right? Hasn't eaten, can't sleep, just crying constantly. I'm sorry she's hurting." "Are you? Because it seems like you're enjoying punishing her." "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just protecting myself." By abandoning her in Portugal? By ending a relationship where my partner told me my love language was suffocating? By not accepting an apology that only came after she experienced what life looks like without my suffocating organization? Maya didn't have a response to that. Final update. It's been 6 weeks now. Bianca stopped trying to contact me after about 2 weeks. I heard through mutual friends that she moved back to her hometown, needed a fresh start. Apparently the whole Lisbon incident became a thing in our friend group, people taking sides, debating whether I was justified or cruel. I lost some friends over this, people who thought leaving her to figure out Lisbon alone was too far. But I gained clarity about who actually understood what happened. James asked me last week if I regretted it. "Do you wish you'd handled it differently?" I wish I'd realized sooner that we were incompatible. But no, I don't regret ending it clearly. Even the Lisbon thing. Especially the Lisbon thing. She needed to understand what she was actually asking for when she complained about my planning. She wanted spontaneity. I gave her spontaneity. She wanted to not feel managed. I stopped managing. That's not cruel. That's honest. But you knew she was going to the airport. I suspected, but she'd already made it clear she didn't want me micromanaging her decisions. So I didn't. He laughed. "That's dark, man." "Maybe. But it's also fair. I'm doing okay now. Better than okay, actually. I've been dating someone new, met her at a project management conference, ironically. She appreciates organization. When I send her a detailed itinerary for a weekend trip, she calls it thoughtful instead of controlling. I saw on social media that Bianca's seeing someone too. Guy looks like he wears hemp necklaces and probably uses go with the flow as a personality trait. Good for her. She found her spontaneous adventure. I found someone who doesn't think effort is a burden. And that task list she complained about? Yeah, it's still there. But her name isn't on it anymore. Edit. A lot of people are saying I was cruel for the Lisbon situation. I get that perspective. But here's what those people seem to miss. I made sure she had someone there. I could have just vanished completely. I could have let her land with no one. I arranged for Jessica to be there because despite everything, I didn't want her to be alone in a foreign country. That's the difference between revenge and boundaries. Edit 2. For those asking if I ever loved her, yes, I did. That's why it hurt when she reduced everything I did for her to treating her like a task. Love isn't just feelings. It's effort. It's planning. It's showing up. She wanted the feelings without the effort, and that's not how adult relationships work. Edit 3. No, I don't feel bad about the money I lost on cancellations. Best money I ever spent. You can't put a price on self-respect.